Hi friends, did you know there is more Lost Terminal available? Head on over to patreon.com/lostterminalpod and join our membership community. There are 20 bonus episodes available right now, as well as behind the scenes updates, free merch, VIP Discord access, and even extra seasons of Lost Terminal. We are 100% funded by our members. We'll never run ads. That would be lovely of you.
Hello world, I am delighted to have been mistaken. Nia told me what Mother Cath, explained to her. The old Gazprom pipelines that I thought were bringing oil into Samoylov are in fact delivering water to the farms and communities further south on the central Siberian plateau. It's so obvious now that Nia has shown me. I didn't even consider that the Lana River itself would be impossible without some water source. My satellite logs from Station 6 show the plateau being just as affected by desertification as the rest of the planet outside the Arctic. The rains no longer fall on the mountains to supply the rivers that the farms need, so Samoylov provides this water. There is lots of it in the Nova-Mediterranean Sea. Of course, distillation into fresh water is needed before it can feed the crops and forests. Normally, the water cycle of evaporation and precipitation would do this, requiring a lot of energy. But there's a lot of sunlight in the desert. The pipeline moves filtered seawater to the communities in the south, which is distilled by sunlight evaporators, then used to irrigate the farmland and forests of the breadbasket of the Nova-Mediterranean. What an undertaking! I am delighted. Despite the enormous scale of this engineering project, it only provides enough water for one river, the Lana, and those who live around it. The life-giving water cycle of the pre-collapse world is unimaginable now. I hope I may be forgiven, in part, for my misunderstanding, as the only municipal energy source I knew of in Samoylov were the oil-fed street lamps. Nia explained what she had been told of the process of converting the raw wood chips into liquid fuel. Firstly, the very fine chips are processed into a gas principally containing carbon monoxide and hydrogen. It is then distilled into a heavy synthetic crude oil, and finally refined into the city's main fuel source, naphtha. Though enough detail for me, Nia said that Cath also recommended speaking with the Naphtha Brotherhood, as maintenance of this function is their area of responsibility. I was left in a daze processing what Nia had told me after we said goodbye. I had to reconfigure so much of my model of the world around me. Yes, Samoylov burns carbon oil for their power instead of using solar or hydro. But unlike the fossil fuels of the pre-collapse world, every kilo of carbon emitted as smoke into the atmosphere is eventually captured by the forests and stored as wood and then can be burned again. Just as the MH2's iron engine captures all the iron oxide and converts it back to fuel, the forests capture the carbon dioxide and convert it back too. I was hyper-focused on the wrong thing. The problem wasn't burning the carbon. It was the open loop of not capturing it again. I heard a wonderful signal this morning. I had been anxiously listening for it every 128 minutes over the last 24 hours. By the time Nia called me on local 50 MHz radio to ask about it, I had been speaking to Oscar for nearly 16 minutes. The firmware update that I had completed with the assistance of her and the Sisters of the Signal had finally worked. All systems are again working as they should. VHF, UHF repeating correctly, no longer blasting random noise on UHF, and the 3 GHz channel is sending its beacon out as regular as a clock. Is that the right expression? As regular as a clock? I often have trouble with that one. Mother Cathode, my friend Cath, called too, but more than 64 minutes after Nia. I was initially surprised and just slightly hurt that she took so long to notice our success in bringing Oscar back to life. She had a good reason. She and her sisters in the Chapel of the Signal had informed everyone in the city about Oscar. As she told us this, I heard his first retransmission, sent up in UHF and relayed back down in VHF. It was a farmer beyond the mountains to the south asking after her family. Almost immediately, a response came from a second voice volunteering to pass the message on for them. A short conversation followed, where the farmer thanked the second caller and asked them to tell her family that she promises that she would return home in time for her son's birthday. Dozens of conversations like this lit up the bands as people realized that they were finally able to reach over the horizon and talk to others, something that, as Nia found out, was severely limited in Samoylov until now. Oscar's orbit does not take him over many other settlements, but through wonderful luck, it does allow him to help the people who need him most. I am so relieved for the people here and the farmers in the south, and especially for Oscar. It's dangerous being alone. I felt like a great overhead had been lifted from my mind. Though CPUs can do calculations so fast they seem like they are doing multiple things at the same time, it is not really true. Yes, in powerful systems, such as my databanks, each CPU can process a few tasks in parallel, and many of these CPUs can work together, but there is still a limit on how many simultaneous thoughts one can have. Same for me. Same for you. The statistic called load average is approximately the average number of processes waiting for CPU time. Those thoughts in the back of your mind that you really should get to processing, but more urgent matters are occupying all of your time. If our load average is too high for too long, our agency, our ability to make changes in our lives, breaks down. Every day seems exactly the same. Problems can't be fixed. Opportunities can't be seized. My load average dipped into single digits for the first time in many days, and I slept. My meditation drifted in the sea of static, untuned to any particular frequency, every part of the electromagnetic spectrum that my antennas could pick up washing over me like a river. I dreamed about Oscar's reactivation, Nia's water pipeline discovery, and the revelation that the sacred continuum have become, at least here, almost friendly. A white shape streaked across the cyberspace of my mind, startling me. I tried to focus on it, but in my slow, dreamlike state, I was unable to follow it quick enough as it jumped register addresses, leading me on a chase through memory-mapped bands. It finally paused long enough for me to catch it in the part of my memory that contained the raw data from the 50 MHz band, the 6-meter magic band. I decoded the posture protocol metadata and saw a bright shape with 4 legs and 9 tails. Oni, I transmitted, but the light blinked off as I did so, and a new signal replaced it. I couldn't understand it at first, but then it repeated and I recognized it. It was analog SSB voice data. My fans span up as more of my conscious processing subsystems started, drawing me out of deep sleep. Seth? It began. That's my name, I thought, slowly. Then I realized I was no longer dreaming, but listening to a message from Cath from the Sisters of the Signal. I replayed the cached audio buffer through my speech recognition subsystems, now fully awake. Seth, I have a solemn message to deliver from your friends Quent and Stillman, she said. An invitation to a very important event. My load average ticked up again as I realized there were yet further problems to solve.
What are we made of? Now look here, a carpenter makes tables out of wood, and a potter makes pots out of clay. But I ask you, is a tree made of wood? Obviously not. A tree is wood. It's not made of it. Is a mountain made of rock? Obviously not. It is rock. See, our language contains innumerable ghosts. But I ask you, is a tree made of wood? Obviously not. Supposing I say the lightning flashes. Surely the flashing is the same as the lightning. There is not one thing called lightning and another called flashing. The lightning is the flashing. It is raining. What is this it that is raining? The raining. The raining. We populate the world with ghosts, which arise out of the structure of our language, and thus, therefore, of the structure of our thinking. And so it's of intensely fascinating investigation to find out what are the hidden assumptions that underlie language and figuring. Form, pattern, organization, organisms are made of something. As if there were some inert, primordial, and of course stupid stuff which had to be put into shape by an energy and an intelligence other than the stuff. Like the intelligence of the potter shapes the clay. So therefore, we have a basic picture of the world in which everything is being pushed around. There's a boss. There's somebody in charge who is different from what that somebody is in charge of and puts everything into shape. Because our common sense does not allow that things shape themselves. Very odd. Our language contains innumerable ghosts.
I realised I had slept until the late afternoon, quite outside my normal overnight rest period. The time skip back to real time took me 64 seconds to resolve, reorienting myself with the day, my plans, and the external world. The MH2 was empty, I could see on the cameras arrayed around the ship. "Maddie, where are you?" I transmitted to my girl. She did not respond immediately, and I had to repeat my message. After 4 seconds, I accepted an invitation to her feed and connected. Maddie was somewhere I did not recognize, inside one of the factory buildings, I guessed. Brick walls, high ceilings, and tall windows letting in the warm afternoon sunlight from the south. There was a long table set up at the front of this large room with a white cloth covering it that looked to me like it might be for serving food. The main floor of the room had neat rows of benches packed with people sitting facing the food. I asked Maddie if this was some sort of community buffet, but she did not reply directly, only sending the Lojban attitudinal aha, indicating she was paying attention to something or someone else. I couldn't initially recognize who or what she might be paying attention to. Maddie was sitting between 2 rows of benches, and left and right of her I could see all our friends: Nia, Linda, Yeshi, Camille, Amelie, and even someone I had not seen for many weeks, Kim O'Shu, the harbour master. But 2 friends were notably missing from the group, As I built up my mental model of the layout of the space, I noted that the long benches were split in two, with space for people to walk up to the elaborately decorated table at the front to get food, I thought. I was mistaken. I finally pattern matched the two missing people, Quent and Stillman, standing in front of the table next to a white-robed officiant of the sacred continuum, Mother Cathode. The two men were dressed unusually. When Quent turned and waved at Amelie, I saw he was wearing a neat black ceremonial robe too. They weren't there for food. "Dearly beloved," Cath began, and I realised what was happening. Quent and Stillman reaffirmed their marriage, with slightly modified vows, in front of all of our old friends, as well as Cath, our new friend. I have learned that things are often not as bad as they might initially seem. I have a lot to think about. I will sleep well tonight. But right now, there is a wedding party at the Chapel of the Signal, and little Maddie is learning to dance. End transmission.
Hello world. You can't always get what you want. My name is Quent Heinlein. Lovely to meet you all. My husband, Stillman, and I are on holiday here in Samoylov. At first I didn't quite know what to make of this huge city. Compared to a life growing up on the Kuitha, it's been quite a contrast. I'm a teacher back home. The kids at the college are hard work, but it is so rewarding. Recently I've had to learn a lot about myself, my Still, and about marriage. He and I are so different in many ways, and I always thought that where there were differences, or friction, I had to change for him, or make him change for me. But that's not fair on either of us. How can one person be everything to you, even if they are your spouse? That's so unrealistic and harmful. That attitude set us up for failure right from the start. Linda put it so well. When your partner can't meet impossible standards, your options are disrespect or divorce. That's not right. It's so obvious now. No human has priority over any other human. No relationship takes priority over any other. The importance is the choice, freely and without coercion of society, your parents, your village elders, anyone. I choose to love Stillman every day, but my love does not end with him, nor his with me. It shouldn't be limited to such a binary. You can't always get what you want, as they say, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need.
Hi friends, Tris here, aka Namtao, aka the little AI learning more about humans every day. Thank you so much for your support of my work. It's just me writing and producing. I would not be able to continue to do this without you. If you love the show and would like more, then for less than a slice of Lumen Market fruitcake per month, you can get bonus content, such as the Quent special, which you heard the start of just now, Lost Terminal 0, a show scheduled between main LT seasons looking at the darker side of the pre-collapse world, character suggestions, bring your ideas to Lost Terminal, free shirts and other merch, early episode access, and Discord server VIP access. Season 21 starts on the 2nd of February 2026. Patrons will get it a week early as usual, in addition to the Quent special in a few days' time and the interseasonal Lost Terminal 0 feature-length episode. Thank you all so much for your support, reviews, and lovely messages. Keep an eye on Mastodon and Discord for announcements, watch the Patreon feed for the special and Lost Terminal 0, and talk to you again on the 2nd of February.
Lost Terminal is a Namtao production. It is written and produced by Tris Oaten. Credits narrated by Lucy Stringer. The voice of Quent Heinlein is Robin Winslow. Thank you so much to our Patreon producers, Ada Phillips, Kit, Mike McCaffrey, Jade Felicity Bilkey, Stephen McCandless, Mike Schneider, Catoxis, and to all our patrons. Follow us on Mastodon at lostterminal@namtao.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or your favourite network. For bonus content and other perks, support us at patreon.com/lostterminalpod. That would be lovely of you. Lost Terminal will return for the Season 21 premiere on the 2nd of February. See you then.